How's it going, folks? It is Doctor McFarland on a Monday night, September 29th, and I had a great two gigs actually over the weekend. One was fairly last minute. I have a friend named Freddie who lives here in the Murfreesboro area. He has a really cool hangout slash jam building back behind his house, and I often go over there at least once a month, if not maybe just once a quarter, depending on how often I can get out there or whatnot. But I've jammed with him quite a few times over the years, and it's just I already know his set list. So he contacted me earlier last week asking if I could fill in on a Friday night gig playing 6 to 9, just basically playing a bunch of like Jimmy Buffett covers and Crosby, Stills and Nash and just a bunch of songs from like the 60s and 70s, essentially. A few other 80s and 90s thrown in, but mainly classic rock from the 60s and 70s. And I was like, yeah, sure, that'd be great. So I didn't have to do this, but I did make a rig based off of his name and just the overall style of what I was going for. So let's go ahead and look at the browser. I'm using the Headrush Prime. And the address for the web editor is headrushprime.local. Just type that into your browser. If you have a Headrush Core, then it's going to be headrushcore.local. And if you have a Flex Prime, there will be headrushflexprime.local. It should just be that easy, and it just pops right up. So as long as your Bluetooth and everything is turned on, it should just work swimmingly. Okay, so I still have a flanger in here, but on my actual foot switch assign, if I click on this, I have a signal chain option, which basically does an A/B switch between my two different amplifier heads. Then I have a trim scene. I have a clean delay scene, a just straight clean scene, a rhythm, and a lead scene. And at some point in the gig, after about a few songs, I decided to not have the flanger in there just because I knew I wasn't going to use it. But I did need some kind of volume boost for solos and whatnot. So I went ahead and added the graphic EQ into all that. I'll probably need to go in and make sure that that is not on by default. I'll turn that off for that one. Go in here, do the same thing, make sure this is off. And this is Headrush's way of going in and basically telling it what you want on and off depending on the scene that you're on. And there's also two different switch states for that same switch. So you could have two scenes per switch if you were really crafty and you didn't mind you didn't mind like double stacking your switches just to get to a certain sound, which is not a big deal for some people. But I'll go ahead and save this like so. So what we got going on is I actually didn't use the wah pedal at all in this gig, but I had quite a few slots left over or available. So I went ahead and added a wah-wah, which is the boudoir, based off the Buddha amplifier company, the Boudoir. I think there's a French or some other kind of term that says boudoir, right? So it's just kind of a funny name for whatever, but it is what it is. So we got that. I am liking the presser pedal. I still wouldn't mind if there was a mix or blend parameter in here so I could really spank the signal, then just blend back in some of that dry signal to give it a little bit more transparency. But overall, I really like the presser option. I do have a flanger in here, which I currently don't have assigned to a switch. And I just threw it in because, sometimes you just want a little different sound. I do have the classic JRC overdrive, which is a green tube screamer. And then for my amps, I have the Bogner green channel And then the second amp is the Bogner Blue channel. Okay, now sometimes, I mean, if you really have to be picky, you can go in and you can contrast to compare the blue versus the red channel. But the blue channel sounds great as well as the red. But sometimes the red can be a little too compressed. And I wanted to have that more open type sound. So the next pedal is a tremolo. I never set that to a sync, by the way. I always have the rate somewhere in between, or somewhere around like that 5 hertz range, 5.3, 4.8, just somewhere in there, depending on what I'm feeling. A dyne delay, but I actually have the envelope mix set to where if I'm playing, you don't hear the delay as much. And then when I hold out a chord or hold out a note, then the delay kind of, comes into the mix a little bit more. So it's called like a ducking function. So that's how that works. And then I do have a C-verb set to my own personal, this is the sound of this room, okay, which is kind of crazy. So what I did before I started moving all the gear and couches and furniture into this room, I did a IR impulse response capture of the room using Logic, Apple's Logic. They have a reverb plugin that has some IR impulse response creation type algorithms in it. So you basically just set up a microphone or 2 microphones. You spit out a signal, like a sweep, frequency sweep through a speaker in the room. Then you capture that with the mics. And then there is your IR file. So I actually have those for sale on my website. It's a $5, think of it like a $5 donation to the cause. So I have multiple different mic positions of this room, and it sounds really good. And you can see I have the wet signal down pretty far. And then for my actual boost, I have the graphic EQ. I'm not changing the EQ type at all, but I am boosting the level about 2 dB. And you can make that be like 3 dB or something if you wanted to. Then I actually had the cab last because I'm not sure if you can even see this on the screen. Yeah, you might be able to. So under audio, for alt guitar source, I have it set to Headrush cab input. And what that is doing is it is sending the full signal out of the main guitar output is going out of XLR to left and right. But the alt guitar, which stops at the Headrush cab input, is saying, okay, I'm going to take the full signal, go up to the input of that cab, and I'm going to send that out of the 1/4 inch output. Okay. Now in this instance, it was a fairly small restaurant, and I didn't go to the PA at all. So I basically had to just send a 1/4 inch output to my Quilter or Quilter Aviator Cub, and I send that into the effects return. So therefore, I need to bypass the cab because I don't like sending a virtual cab into a real cab because you got this weird muddy kind of effect going on. And so that's how that worked. That is how that worked exactly. And we got Andrew Collins in the house. Heard that new Line 6 Stadium. It sounds fantastic. Yeah, I mean, even the original Helix sounds good. So I think I'm going to talk about more about the Helix Stadium tomorrow during the Talk About Gear live stream. But just as a quick note, I think all the Maulers sound fantastic. It's just a matter of workflow and features and whatnot. So if you're watching tonight, I'm doing Headrush stuff. But I have no doubt that the new stadium sounds good, but all the Maulers sound good at this point. So, I think you're mainly buying you're mainly going to buy the stadium for the extra DSP and the extra touchscreen and the usability of it, but not really for the sounds so much. Because I just don't think I don't think the sounds are like that, different than what is currently available. So that's my own personal opinion, and you know, you can take it or leave it. I'm trying to get my screen open here because I have a Discord server that's open that is making noise. So I'm going to go ahead and shut that down. Francis is in the house. So what we're going to do tonight is go through the rig as I have it set up. I was playing my Telecaster from Kiesel and also the Lyra, which is a Greg Howe model. And that has a HSS pickup configuration. But for tonight, I'm playing the pink Goddess of Doom. I don't know what I'm even saying at this point, but yeah, it sounds good. All right, so let's turn up the main speaker here. All right, so going into my assigns, I really can't even. I basically have to hit the switch over here. So all right, this is fine. So I'm going to hit clean. You can see that I have the presser on, some verb, no delay, and the green channel of the Bogner. So I'm going to turn this up a bit, turn down my headphones. So what I like about that is it's not your typical Fendery clean, but it does have a little bit of beef to it. Beef is what's for dinner. So and maybe in a separate video, I'll actually hook up the 1/4-inch output to the quilter over here. I could do it in this video. It just would be a little strange to get that mic'd up. Otherwise, you'd be hearing it in the room probably through this desk mic over here. And yeah, it's just interesting trying to capture the sound of something in the room while you're live streaming or making a video. So right now you're hearing the direct outs of the XLR outputs of the Headrush Prime. What's up, Dwight? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. So that is my clean scene. Here's the rhythm. Okay, so that's the Bogner Blue channel, and it just sounds good. It's got plenty of balls to it, and it's not over the top gainy by any means, but it just has a good overall sound. So and thanks to the recent update, we do have an output level per amp channel or amp block. Well, sorry, not even block, per amp model. So on my green channel, the output level is about 4, and then the for the blue, the output level is at 6.3. So it just makes it so easy and convenient to level match the two different amp heads, so you're not getting these drastic options or volume jumps, and then you don't have to have a graphic EQ after the fact that is now associated with each scene. You gotta, like, you know, jump all the channel or the parameters up and down and whatnot. So just very convenient. So once again, we got the rhythm channel. All right. Now for the lead, I have the JRC turned on. I have the delay turned on, and that's pretty much it. So also the presser's on through through everything. So all right, let me show you this envelope mix here. If I turn the mix all the way to -100, Okay, notice when I'm playing, I basically have zero delay happening. Okay, but then as soon as I stop, the delay mix swells into the sound. Okay, now if I want to split the difference there, I'm going to put this on 50%. So. Okay, so I think that's a good balance between the delay that can be heard while you're playing versus the delay that swells in when you're done playing. Okay, so we do have a envelope 2 feedback and the envelope rate. Let's try 0% on the feedback and see what that does. Okay, so it's a certain length, and let's bring it down to 100. Okay, I don't really tell the difference there. Let's try maybe in the middle. Let's try in the positive area. Let's go positive 50%. Okay, that's actually a little bit less, which is interesting. Here's 100-ish. And it's really short, so that's interesting. Okay, that stops way earlier. So let's go back to 0. Okay. I like that. We can keep it at 100. I mean, there's really nothing telling us that we have to like change it drastically. But it is what it is. So the next theme we have is the tremolo. Turning off other channels here that need to come through. Okay, so tremolo with delay. And we got a stereo, nice bouncy stereo thing going on there. Let me go ahead and save this again just to be sure. And then we got clean delay. Okay, so I mean, these were my main sounds all night, and if we were playing like Jimmy Buffett type stuff, I'd be like, just playing clean, doing like country-ish kind of licks. And then if I actually went for a solo, but I didn't need like a pure volume boost, but I just wanted a little bit more grit, then I would turn on the JRC. Which sounds pretty good. And then if I wanted more of a actual amp overdrive, then I would go to my rhythm channel. Okay, so notice that the amp overdrive doesn't have as much mid-range boost going on. So if I went back to my clean and then turn on the JRC, you're definitely hearing more of that honky, mid-rangey type sound. Which is good. And then if I turn on the EQ for my boost, okay, so now I have a honky sound, honky sound. That's now a little bit louder overall. I'm actually going to put that on 3 dB instead of 2 dB. That'll be good. So this is with the EQ off. And then with the EQ on. Okay, definitely a good jump in volume there. Let's actually make it like 2.5 or 2.4 or something. Okay. 2 is good, but sometimes it didn't feel like it was quite enough. And most of the time, you don't want just drastic boost of volume. You just don't need that much or as much as you think you do. The drummer was playing relatively quiet because we were in a very very roomy sounding room, and you just didn't need to be very loud. Otherwise, you just take over the crowd and people trying to eat with their family and whatever else. So he was relatively quiet. The bass player was relatively quiet. The owner already told the lead singer to turn down the PA a little bit. So we were definitely, you could talk over us, essentially. I mean, we weren't like so loud that you couldn't hear yourself think. And so I didn't need to be too loud. And I set the volume of the Quilter Aviator Cub accordingly. So I could have brought the Fender FR12, which would have been another fine option. But sometimes I just like the thought of playing through a real amp and not just the FR option. So there's all that. I do have the boudoir there. I have another Mission Engineering pedal that I could have on the floor if I wanted to hook that up, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm not in a position to put this on the floor right now. Otherwise, I would have it at my feet and I would show you what the wall sounds like. I'll definitely do that in a separate video. I'll get that set up and do like a wall. I'll probably do that next month. The month of October is going to be, I'm going to go through every single wall option that we have just so you can hear what those sound like. And I'll do that for the HTS Rigs live stream. Of checking out the wall pedals. So all right, so that's the Freddy gig, and that's a good all around rig that I just these kind of songs where you're doing the more country Jimmy Buffett, 60s, 70s classic rock type stuff. You don't need anything high gain. You don't need you don't need tons of modulation effects. You just need to be straight up, have a good overall tone and then just play the part that the song requires. That's really all that's needed. I think it's easy to sit by yourself in a room and imagine what you would need for a gig. But until you actually get on stage, or in my case, on the floor, because we were just set up on the floor there. We didn't have a real stage. We were just in the corner of the room of the restaurant. That's why I chose to not have the flange assigned to a switch once I got there, because, in my head here in the studio, it was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to have a flanger in there because it'll sound really cool. And then I was like, I don't need a flanger. I just need a good boost, so I added in the EQ boost, or the EQ pedal for my boost. and decided to take the flange off the switch. So with all that said, let's go ahead and save this one more time. Let's go to a brand new one here. And let me show you how we can do this in real time. So we do have, I feel like the revolver, you can only do one maybe. Let's try like a Fox AC30. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I can do a switch doubling thing, which I can. So there's a blues maker, which is cool. Let's just try that out. Let's see what the blues maker does for us. We got channel 1 engaged. Then we got channel 2. We got mid presence gain 2, gained 1. Okay, cool. Okay, let's just crank this up a little bit. And then let's actually add a revolver cab. So we're going to try a little revolver option here. Let's go ahead and do Doc's best, which has nothing to do with me. It's something, I'm not sure. The B and T is the top and bottom because there is a a top speaker and a bottom speaker. So we're just going to go that route. We're going to have the mic on axis. We're going to do just a good overall SM57. Okay, very interesting. Let's see what we can do here. I feel like the bass is too much. I feel like let's take off channel 1 maybe. Alright, there's channel 2 happening. Let's check out what this cab is doing. We got gain, we got mic distance. Let's take it a few inches off here. Okay. Okay, not bad. Let's go to the other amp now. Let's take the leave the Brilliant on normal volume. We can take that down. Let's take these down. Something about these are not. I'm not liking the tone so far of this. I don't want it too dirty. Let's take the tone cut all the way off. Lower this back down. Okay, now a Vox doesn't have to be super squeaky clean. Matter of fact, I think most people like it kind of on the edge of breakup to dirty side. But I can use the neck pickup. And the reason why I'm doing this is I just like the switch doubling option. All right, let's bring up the output level of this. Okay, I'm going to change my mind on this one. I'm not liking the blues maker. Let's go with the orange channel 1. And maybe even change out the cab. Let's try something different here. You can try open back. No, I don't like the open back. I'm literally doing this in real time. I have no idea. what I'm looking for, really. Germain 4x12. Gem vintage. That can work. It could work. Okay, there's mic distance. Okay, going back to the amp. Making sure that we can turn the bass back up. Treble down. All right, let's go ahead and add some reverb on the end of this. I can add a C verb. Let's look at what the Headrush options are. We got spaces, we got halls, rooms, small room, opus. Okay, so a very short room sound. We're going to take down the wet balance. You can also change the file up here to something a little bit longer than that. Not too crazy, though. It's hard to tell what these even sound like. Let's do a Studio 3, maybe. How about Studio 1? It's pretty long tail. Let's go back to spaces. Let's go to like a small chamber. It's almost too small. Let's do large. Okay, I'm liking that one. Maybe bring the wet balance down a little bit more. All right, what we can do now is go to assign, and I want to make this one. What did I do? What did I do here? I'm going to click on it and go down to signal chain. I'm going to change the doubling from A to B. Okay, so check that out. A to B. So now if I hit the switch, you can see I'm going up and down, back and forth between the two different amps. Okay? Now, with that said, you can repeat this by now going to a Headrush amp. And let's say we want where's my Soldano stuff? SLO clean. And then make sure you hit ×2 to the doubling. Interesting. How would this work? I know how it would work. Let's go down here and let's make this. Okay, extended range. All right, now, at this point, this is what's happening. We are actually changing both A to B paths. Okay, that's not really exactly what I want. So what we're going to have to do is let's go back to signal chain, and there's a both A, B, C, D option. Let's remind ourselves what that does. I don't remember. I don't remember what it does. A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D. Both A, B, C, D. Path mix. Let's just keep it like that. Now at this point, if you really do have 4 different amp heads, which is almost insane. But it is what it is. We're probably better off just doing scenes. Okay. So what we're going to do is on this one, we're going to go to path A. We're going to turn this amp off, this amp on, and that's going to be good for that one. Okay, so check that out. Now on this one, we're going to go to revolver amp on, this amp off. Switch doubling is going to be set to B, and we don't have to change anything else. Okay. On this one, the revolver amp is going to be off, but now the amp is going to be on. Set this one to A. Everything else can be no change. Then on this one, the revolver amp is off. This amp is on. This one's going to be set to switch doubling, or doubling switch B. Okay. So with that said, let's name these real fast. What do we have? This was the Vox amp. This is the, I don't even remember what I had for this amp. Oh, this is the orange. I spelled that wrong. Orange. This is the SLO clean. And this one is the SLO extended range. Okay? So now we should have a very clear and defined option here. So you can see that on the screen. We got Vox, orange, SLO clean, XLO extended. Okay, so here's my Vox, which is going to be still clean, but a different kind of clean than the SLO is going to be. And that's actually pretty good. Like one of the songs was Mary Jane's Last Dance by Tom Petty. And that one definitely has a small tweed-ish type sound and not really a big, you know, a modern sound. So like, you know, something like that. Now at this point we can bring the tone cut back up a little bit. Okay, so especially with like a Telecaster or something, that would sound pretty good. I think Mike Campbell of Tom Petty. Let's do Doc Freddie 2 HTS September 2025. Okay. Yeah, Mike Campbell of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, he was known for playing like Rickenbackers, Telecasters, Les Pauls, Les Paul Juniors with a single P90 pickup, you know, just stuff like that. So we're not going for a very modern hi-fi sound with this one. Okay, stuff like that. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment in the chat or just let me know that you're enjoying the content. Let's move on to the orange sound now, which is going to be a little more modern, a little more British bark. Which I like. That's pretty good. That is channel 1, by the way. So let's see what channel 2 does, just for fun. When the gain is up pretty high, so let's bring it down. Now, this is another reason why I wanted the output level parameter added to every amp model. Is sometimes if you have a master volume, you weren't really able to push the volume because then it just didn't balance well when you're trying to level match to other amps. But now we can actually crank the master and then bring down the output level on here and just see what the tone sounds like. Okay, let's bring down the master again and bring back up the output level. Okay, here in a second, I'm going to grab my Strat, or my Kiesel Delos, aka Strat, and see how that sounds with that. But here's the SLO clean. Okay, not bad overall. Bring up the output level on this. Maybe bring up the presence, but take down the treble. Okay, we have a good all-around, more modern, clean sound. Okay, not bad. We can level match that a little bit later. Let's go ahead and save it. And then the last one is going to be the SLO extended range. Yeah, it's nice. We're going to cut the bass. We're going to bring up the treble just a touch. We're going to bring up the output level. More output level, even less bass. All right, going back through, let's check the levels here. Not bad. Here's the orange. Okay, let's just bring that one down a smidge. You know what a smidge is. All right, here's the SLO clean. Good. And then, all right, bring that one up a little bit more. Bring down the master volume. All right, definitely bring down the gain. Let's cut it by half. It was at 50. Let's do 25. Okay, bring the output level back down to maybe 6. All right, back up to like 7-ish. That's pretty good. That's pretty good stuff. So we got 4 different nuances of clean and dirt, which I like. Let's go ahead and add a delay afterwards. Let's try the new multi-delay, which is cool. Panned. Bring the mix down. Yes, sir. Let's do another reverb here. Party verb, ambiverb. We can only have one instance of a C verb, so it is what it is. Let's do a lush sparkle. All right, let me switch amps here. Let me, not amps, let me switch guitars. Switch it up a little bit. Let's go with the Strat. All right, I'm back. So let's check this one out. We got the Mark singles. Let me show you a little bigger close-up here. So this is the Kiesel Delos. It's a just a good all-around sunburst guitar. Just a good classic sunburst. Mark single pickups. We do have the Hipshot Bridge, which is fairly smooth. Okay, let's go ahead and tune this thing real fast. You can. They did add where you when you engage the tuner on the board, it also shows on the. Well, let me show you. It also shows on the screen, which is good. Makes it convenient for those sitting at a desk. And if you're sitting there still with the MX5, a gig board, or original pedal board, don't feel too left out. But also, you know, there's a lot of good upgrades if you get the next thing. It's very similar to the Helix versus the Stadium, which I'll talk about more tomorrow, aka Andrew Collins. But you know, if you were an owner of the original Helix, you're like, man, I wish this thing had more DSP. Well, guess what? You're going to have to buy a whole different unit just to get that, okay? So it's very similar to the Headrush Generation 2 products, the Prime, the Core, and the Flex Prime. There was just certain things that the older units didn't have, like Bluetooth, like Wi-Fi, just didn't have the ability to do what the new units could do because they didn't have the proper hardware, okay? So I'm sorry if you're an MX5 user and you saw the Flex Prime come out going, what the crap? Why couldn't we have gotten this and that and this and that? Well, it's just, it is what it is. It's time to move on. So I know there's a lot of butthurt people out there, but it's the way it is. I sold my pedal board. I sold my gig board. I still have the MX5 right here because it's just a good small unit to build legacy rigs on. But I do like the Prime because it has the more switches than the smaller MX5 or the Flex Prime. And I just prefer having as many switches as I can have in a live environment without having to compromise on how I'm going to switch between all my different sounds. So now notice this guitar is pretty bright, okay? We have a lot brighter guitar. Now, I recently sold on Reverb. I had a headless model, basically that looked just like this, except it had a ash body. But I definitely just like the classic Sunburst Stratty type thing you can get with these guitars. And if you feel like it's a little over the top on the brightness, you can roll down the tone knob. That tone is on about 3 or 4, which definitely smooths it out a lot versus having it all the way up. So rolling that on down. Does the thing. Okay, so now we go to the orange. All right, here's the tone all the way back up. A little too bright. Roll it back down. Now, one thing you can do is you can have an EQ in your chain after the amp. Let me turn that down. After the amp that says, I am now going to have, let's go with this one here. Mud remover, post amp sculpt. Let's do that. We are going to bring down the 6K pretty highly. Bring back up to 400. Bring back up to 2. We could actually even stand to like boost a little bit to 20 hertz. Bring down the 3 back to 0 for sure. Maybe bring up to 60 just a little bit. So I'm taking the already thin sounding pickups and just giving it a little bit of heft on the bottom end. All right, let me switch it back so you can see what I'm doing here. So I'm taking the EQ and I'm trying to mimic what my tone knob does. So let's just say, for example, I switched guitars mid-set, so I can now have an EQ in the chain that I can engage that will go along with this guitar. So essentially what I'm doing. Bring this back up a little bit. Taking down about 3K or so. Okay, taking off the EQ. Back on. Okay, so we're just kind of, let's save this. Save as a new preset. We'll call this Delos High Cut, something like that. There's also things like within the EQ slider. Oh, I see what that is. Okay, never mind. You can also do things like this where you engage the high frequency roll off a little bit more. Maybe do a little low end roll off of like up to like 80 or so. Then you can go in with the mid range and you can shape it a little bit that way as well. All kinds of options. Yeah, whatever. So. So that's an even more extra step, other than just simply going in and moving sliders up and down, right? You can actually go to the EQ and output gain section of the block and change the EQ that way as well. So if I turn this off, right, it's pretty bright, and then turn it back on. Okay, I'm gonna save that. Once again, just save. Okay, so I like it, but let's just keep it off for now. Go to the Soldano clean. Okay, we got the EQ going kind of crazy there. Let's turn down the mix. Let's turn down the milliseconds to like maybe 500. Okay, that's pretty good. All right, let's save it. Luigra, thanks for stopping by all the way from the Dominican Republic. All the way. He swam all the way here. This is the neck pickup on the Delos. And that's a sweet sound right there. Let's turn the EQ back on just to see what this does here. EQ. Okay, it definitely takes out. All right, I'm liking that. I'm liking all that there. So when you want the brightness, it's there, and when you want to kind of cut it off a little bit, it's also there. Okay. Going over to the Solo Extended or SLO Extended. All right, so just to confirm a few things here, I have chosen 2 revolver heads, but it doesn't mean that the Legacy, Vox AC30 and the Legacy Orange 8030 option doesn't sound just as good. I mean, they do, okay? I just chose those for fun. So when I remake this rig on the MX5, you'll get the counterparts to what I've chosen, and they'll still work just as good. Same goes for the EQ. Same goes for, well, you don't have the exact delay, but, the other delays sound fine as well. There is the shimmer or the party verb option in there. We do have some dampening going on. Let's see. So that kind of gives the lush sparkle sound there. And that's all good. Let's go ahead and bypass that one. And yes, you can hear that I have true single coils in my guitar, because when I go to position 2 or 4, that has reverse winding, so it cancels out the hum. There you go. Ooh, boy. Yay. Okay. My sound effects was not working. Sound effects are muted. Let's do ridiculous, I know. All right, so going back to the Vox clean sound now. I'm really liking that. Let's go ahead and add in a compressor. Like I said, I really like this presser sound. It's very similar to the gray comp, as it only has 2 knobs. But this one just sounds more gooder, okay? So we got the sensitivity up pretty high. Let's bring it down to like 70. Bypass it. Okay, I like that. Let's go back to my assign and let's go to the Vox and make sure that is on for that one. And then go to the orange, make sure that is off because I don't want the compression to be on for my dirt sounds. The SLO clean is going to be on, and then my extended range is going to be off. Uh-oh. I almost sneezed, and I muted my mic to save your ears. All right, so going back, here's the Vox with the compressor. Full brightness going on from the guitar. Because sometimes you want that. Let's go to the orange with no compressor. Yep, SLO with the compressor back on. And then the SLO extended with the compressor off. I don't know about you, but I'm really liking that extended range SLO channel. It just has plenty of beef. If you're playing like 80s metal / rock, like glam rock type stuff, it gives you more than enough low end. The sound full, but also sound tight, and with plenty of gain. And just remember, I don't have the gain up pretty high, or on very high on that one. I have the gain down about like 27-ish%, somewhere in there. You can also bring the master volume back up a little bit, maybe. So, maybe bring down this to like there. What do I have going on here? There we go. Let me bring that back up. I like it. That one's got some good volume boost to it. Let's cut that one down, Bob. Just a little bit. All right, now, I like this cab. I like it. I mean, it's fine. Let's go with something else. Okay, let's go back to the tried and true stock cab of the Headrush here. And I do like the B30 just overall. I think it sounds good. Let's do the 121 ribbon. Okay, back to Vox. Interesting. Something like that. Let's save this. Back to orange. Back to Vox. All right, so we either need to bring down the orange level to like here. Solo. Clean. Bring that down to like 5. Bring this down. That is really nice. Bring this level down a little bit more. Okay, let's save all that. So I'm matching levels, I'm adding in different stuff, whatever. All right, now at this point, let's do one more thing. And let's just bring in a tube screamer. Default. Drive down, tone, whatever's. Make this green. All right, now we're going to add this to a switch. And this is going to be... we're going to replace it with the presser sound. So green JRC on. Okay, let's move this over here. Party verb EQ. Okay. So we basically on our switches, we have our pre and post EQ or pre and post boost. So before the amp is the JRC, after the amp is the EQ, or it can be like a tone shaping thing or something. Then we have a party verb and a multi-delay. Then we have the 4 different scenes. So with that said, if I'm on the orange, I'm going to have to go back in and change these assigns here because I've added another pedal. So let's make sure this is off. Make sure this is off. Make sure this is off. Okay. So what's going to happen is if I go to a scene and the JRC is off, it's going to stay off because I'm forcing it off. But if I'm playing like on a certain sound and I want it to be kind of boosted a little bit, then I can just hit the JRC and be fine. Then hit the scene again, and then that goes into, that brings the JRC back in. So. Hit the scene again, it turns off the JRC. All right, so those extra mids and the extra volume being pushed into the front end of the amp just gives it enough lift to just makes it tighter in the low end, a little bit more push, and then it just sounds good. So make sure we got the volume all the way up. Let's actually bring the drive up about like 15. Make it more like a drive pedal versus a boost pedal. And then going to the orange. All right, so you essentially have 8 different sounds there. And then back to solo or slow extended. All right, now, just to show you that it's possible, we'll do this one last thing here. So going back into the scenes, we're going to hit the plus, which goes to our second switch state. And now we have to go... we're going to tell it what's going to be on or off. Okay, so I really wish it wouldn't do this as much as it does, but because I have to remember what's going on. So I want the compressor on, I want the green JRC on, I want the revolver amp on, this amp off, cab no change, EQ off, multi-delay no change, party verb no change, C verb no change, and that's fine, okay? Now going into here, compressor off, JRC on, revolver on, this one off, channel B, everything else, that EQ is off, okay? Going into here, we want the compressor on, JRC on, this amp on, this amp off, that's all correct. EQ is going to be off, that's all correct. Oh, wait, what's happening? What's happening? Oh, I need to hit that. Sorry. That one. Off. On. That one can be off. Whatever. Let's go back to here. Make sure I did it right. What am I doing? What am I doing? That one off. That one on. That one on. That one off. That one off. This needs to be on B. Okay. I'm getting it figured out here, folks. Getting it figured out. This one needs to be on A. So I'm basically doing the second switch state where the green JRC is now on. I could do this for the boost or something with the EQ boost. But you know, it is what it is. So this one's off, this one's on, this one's on, channel B. Crap. Okay, go in there. This one's off, this one's on, this one's off, this one's on. EQ is off. This is on channel B. All right, let's hope I've done this correctly. Okay. If not, I'll need to adjust things. So, box clean with the compressor. Hit again, it turns on the JRC. All right, orange. I did that wrong. Let's make sure this is off, and then the switch state is on. Okay, that should be correct. That should be correct now. Okay, hit it again. So here's switch state 1. Switch state 2. Okay, solo. Once again, I did something wrong. Let's go back into here. This needs to be off. Switch state. That needs to be on. Everything else is good. Okay. Checking my work here. This is things you're gonna have to deal with when you're doing the Headrush stuff. Okay, hit it. Again. Okay, extended range, SLO extended. All right, I'm pretty happy with all that. So we have plenty of blocks left over, but as you can see, I'm utilizing the amp blocks to get the gain sounds, and then just kind of enhancing them with either the compressor, with the tube screamer, with the EQ, multi-delay, whatever verb, party verb type stuff. Now, if I knew I wanted to have the party verb only for a specific sound, I'll basically just go to the assign, click on party verb, or just make this a scene. I'm making a scene for sure. Let's make it purple. Let's have the compressor on. Let's have this off. What am I doing here? What am I doing? Let's do that. Let's do the party verb on, the multi-delay definitely on. Switch doubling is going to be set to A. And we're going to call this like shim or something, right? Go ahead and save it. So hit the shim, and that brings on the sparkle shim verb stuff. Go to the neck pickup. And then from there, I can go straight to the Now I need to go adjust that scene here. So party verb is going to be off. I'm going to force it to be off. Then same here, it's going to be forced to be off. Okay. So as you build, you need to tweak your rig settings accordingly. Okay, I'm pretty happy. Pretty happy with all that. Sounds good to me. Anyway, I think it's good. I think that's great. That's another rig I could pull up to any pretty much any show, any gig, any recording session. It's like, well, I got 4 different gain flavors: 2 clean, 2 crunch the leads type stuff, compressor, overdrive, EQ, delay, reverb, special verb, party verb. And I don't have a tremolo in here. I don't have a tremolo, but the SLO has a tremolo option. The problem is there's not a way to access that within a scene. And I'll show you. So let me show you this amp. So notice how we have, well, I take that back. I'm sorry. It's the extended range that has. Okay, there's depth, there's the speed. Yeah, so it's the extended range that has the tremolo built in, but the clean channel does not have the tremolo. And the Vox does have a tremolo. There's a tremolo volume. Tremolo, what's this? Normal. Tremolo speed, tremolo volume, tremolo on and off. So, this is the problem. This is the problem with building a scene. Let's just see something real fast. Let me show you. So within the amp parameter, there's really not a way to do the tremolo thing. Okay, what we would have to do is save a preset of this sound. Okay, so like the preset up here, I would need to call this Fox Doc clean or something, right? And then I have to go turn the tremolo on and see what this sounds like here. Tremolo's on, tremolo depth. More depth, more volume. Okay, something like that. A little slower. Okay, let's go ahead and save this one now as a new preset. We'll call it Fox Doc Trim. And then when we go into our scene edit here, we're going to have to let's just do this. We're going to go there. We're going to turn that off. We're going to turn this one on, switch doubling on, this one off, this one off. Cab no change. Multi-delay is fine. This one off. That one off. Or no change. Okay. The preset is going to be Fox stock trim. And then this preset is going to be Fox stock clean. Okay. So you got to make presets, then you got to tell the scene which preset you want to recall. That's the only way you can do it. The Toolmaster Pro is actually a lot more like the Helix, where you can assign parameter changes per scene, which I prefer. But the Headrush doesn't do it that way, and which is not what I prefer, but I'm forcing myself to grin and bear it. So here we go. This is the Fox AC30, and then we got our trim. Okay, I feel like what's happening here? What is happening? Okay. Okay, turning on the tremolo actually made it brighter sounding, which I'm not a fan of. So, I'm not a fan of that. Shoot. Okay, what we're going to do, we're just going to go add in, let's move these over here, and we'll put the tremolo, we'll put a separate tremolo option in here. Let's just do that one. We'll do a whatever type thing. Okay, check this out. Boom, 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 boom. Turn down the depth a little bit. Something like that. Maybe change the shape. I personally like having tremolo in a rig. All right, so let's do this. Let's make the compressor be on. That's still on. We're gonna keep this clean option there, and my tremolo is gonna be on. Okay, going back to this one, tremolo is gonna be off. And same there. I need to make that off. Go here, turn that off, turn that off. So it's always best to put everything in the rig that you think you're going to need before you start making scenes. Otherwise, you got to go and redo a bunch of stuff, as you see me doing here. Let's name this one. Crap. Let's name it. This one's going to be trim. So we got a trim and we have a shim. How about that? Trim shim. Bada boom, bada bing. Okay, going back to here. No trim. That's nice. Let's see what time it is. We've gone for about an hour and a half. That's a pretty long time. Francis says good night. I'm heading off. Thanks for stopping by. I know I went a little long on this one. It's just fun to experiment with different options and see what you can come up with. But you can see this is a fairly easy rig. I got 4 heads, a tremolo, a cab, EQ, delay, reverb, party verb, a tube screamer, and a compressor. Okay, so one more time through, just to show you what I have going on. I have a clean Vox. If I hit it again, it's going to turn on the JRC. Okay, I got the orange. Let's go, if I hit it again, it's going to turn on the JRC. Okay, SLO clean. Hit it again, turn on the JRC. SLO extended. Hit it again, JRC. Then back to Vox. That's pretty bright. That's pretty bright. Let's take down the presence a little bit. Something like that. Orange. The volume dips on that just a smidge. So let's bring that one back up. Save it. It's a little clean. That one's fine. That one's a lot louder. Let's bring it back down. All right. I need to do a little bit better at announcing this, but I do have a Discord server. I will have a link for that down in the description. It's just a way to not be on Facebook and Instagram, but still be in the conversation about all things gear, whether that's amps, pedals, digital modelers, guitars, recording stuff, live show opportunities, and or things to go see in your local area. So you can hop on to the Discord and chat with other like-minded musicians and gearheads. And there's a few people in there right now, and we're just having fun chatting it up, talking about whatever. So, yeah, I'll have a link for that in the description, as well as my affiliate links to Zounds, Sweetwater, and Amazon. If you're doing any kind of online shopping and you want to help support the channel, then just click through my link first and then go buy whatever you are going to buy anyways, whether that's toilet paper or a brand new guitar or amp or pedal or whatever it is. And then you help support the channel that way. And I also have the Headrush products on the website. So if you want to download this rig and all past, present, and future rigs, then pay the one-time fee. You get access to all the rigs, and that is good whether you are a legacy Headrush user or a new and improved user. I don't want you to feel left out, so I got rigs for both of you guys or girls, whoever's watching out there. And if you are not subscribed already, be sure to do that down below and click the bell so you'll be notified the next time I release videos on the Headrush or any other product. And I got some cool review stuff coming up soon. And yeah, so I got 2 rigs for this month of September. I got the Doc Freddy HTS, and then I have the not that one, whatever they are. Okay, it's gone. It's somewhere in there. I'll go find it and add it to the set list. But be sure look out for an update on the website, including these 2 rigs. And once again, I am Dr. McFarland. I will see you in the next video. Keep rocking.